Hello Aries, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to your 2025 Astroclock. If you're new here Aries, I am Layla, the Lenormand reader, and I use the amazing Lenormand deck. Have a look at the links that I have for you so you can explore and master this fantastic deck. Aries, here we are in 2025, and yes, I am doing another Astroclock. This is the most popular spread, and I think it's pretty unique, it's been really good with us throughout the years. So we're going to do your Astroclock again this year. If you're new here, Aries, you'll see that I use the whole deck. So don't be surprised, all of the cards show up, all the positive cards, all the challenging cards, and all of the neutral cards. And what makes your Astroclock unique is how the combinations figure across the different months. So you'll see I have 12 groups of 3 cards, and each group represents a month of the year. I start dealing the cards at midnight, which is actually December, but I start reading at 1 o'clock for January. So that's my way of doing it. I also want to tell you, Aries, that I do have a masterclass on the Astroclock, and I'm gonna make this available for sale because normally it's not. Normally it's just in the community resources. So I'll have that linked for you so you can maybe do your own Astroclock and explore some other techniques that we do with the Astroclock. Something I call astro mapping. A fantastic technique. Are you ready, Aries? Let's go ahead and see what is in store for you in 2025. Okay, Aries, here is your Astroclock. As you can see, I've got all 36 cards on the table, and I've got them grouped in 12 groups of 3 cards each, so 1 group per month. And I started dealing out here at midnight, but I start reading here at 1 o'clock, and then I go around the clock clockwise until we reach December. Now, before we get into the month to month, I like to get an overview to sort of orient myself in this Astroclock and locate some of the the key cards, like the key positive cards, the key challenging cards, the man, the woman, the work, money, etc. So the positive cards, well, it's nice to see the sun with the whip because it can sort of neutralize it. We have the star right before, and the flowers is in here. The clover is nice with these guys because it neutralizes the snake and mouse, which are challenging cards. And the keys in here, flowers is lovely, trees lovely. This is looking like a travel month with June. And then we have the mountain, and then the coffin, which is an ending. Wow, here we're seeing potentially a move or a big change. And then we have the scythe. Yeah, this part here, this quarter, it's looking pretty focused on changes. Notice the man and woman right next to each other, January, February. We have the ring as well, so very focused on a relationship. This is hard not to see. And then the challenging cards, snake and mouse, potentially neutralized by the clover. This is nice. And the whip, where's the clouds? Where is the clouds? Oh, it's in December with the bird and fox. This is potentially a bit challenging. It's not very dramatic though. And then the whip is with the sun, which really helps neutralize the whip. So actually you have fewer outright challenging months than normal. Normally I see 2 to 3 challenging months. So when we get to them in the monthly forecast, Aries, don't be surprised. You know where it comes from. It comes from the Astroclock, where we have all of the cards. So that is lovely. And like I said, this seems to me a standout quarter, and then this is also focused on relationships. Okay, we'll get more of these interesting dynamics after we get into the details. So let's dive in, Aries, starting with January, letter, woman, and road. Now this can point to a few things. And the woman could represent you, or the man can represent you. It doesn't really matter. It depends. But the interpretation is going to be mainly the same. So with the letter and road, there is a message of change. So you could be announcing that you're leaving, changing, doing something different. And it can also suggest an opening. So the news gives you the green light to move forward. It could be coming through this woman, or it involves this woman in one way or another. So this is a pretty open triplet. It's kind of neutral, and it's clear that there is a journey that kicks off or that you pursue through the road here. Now the child with the ring and man is very clearly, this is in February, very clearly a relationship, a new relationship, because the child is about beginnings and the ring and man are relationships, especially when they show up together. So that is very clear. Now, it could be tying into January. And there can be a relationship that opens up. Maybe the letter points to invitations, exchanges, interaction, and things like that. And it looks like it can lead into a new relationship. But it's not necessary, Aries. Sometimes the months can bleed into each other, but they don't have to. And then when we get to the monthly forecast, we'll get more detail. So quite exciting here with the focus on a new relationship. I hope you are open to that. Another thing, Aries, is that it's not necessarily romantic. It could be another relationship. It could be a professional relationship. It could be a new family member, for example. It could be someone new you work with, like a health practitioner or an agent or someone else. It could be a new friend. So that's pretty flexible. But I think the ring points to something pretty serious, or at least at some point it becomes that. Now, March, we have the snake and mouse together, and this is challenging, Aries. But like I said, it's really nice to see the clover, because the clover is a card that is about luck and good fortune, and it has a way of turning things to your advantage. So in a way, it can be a blessing in disguise. Oops, let me just bring this more into view. It's a big clock. So it's really nice to see it with the snake and mouse. Now, the snake and mouse, I suspect this could be someone deceptive. It could be someone who lies, who even steals, someone doing things behind your back, etc. So it sounds like this is a difficult person. It doesn't have to be a person. It could be a situation, something difficult, or an annoying situation, or a toxic situation, I think, with the snake. But again, the clover really helps turn this around. And the clover can be a blessing in disguise, like I said. So it looks like here you're in a position to overcome a potentially difficult situation. So stay focused on your good luck and your good fortune. And I would also say, Aries, it's a good idea to maintain optimism, because sometimes being in a positive mindset isn't just about making you feel good, but it also helps you see clearly. When you are upset, the emotions can cloud your vision. So keep that in mind. Okay, moving on to April. These are lovely cards. We have the flowers, house, and garden. And I really think these are parties, celebrations, going over to people's places, receiving people. It's a social combination. Yes, the house tends to be private, but the garden is public, and the garden is about networking, socializing, being out there, outdoors, and things like that. So when we see it with the house, it could be enjoying some times with a group of people, or just having fun with others. And the flowers is the fun card, so it's very much a card of celebration. Now, it doesn't have to be strictly home and family and friends. It could be, for example, celebrating with your team at work or in some other group. It's also a good idea to get involved and to enjoy some good time. So a nice outward energy that invites you to go out and be with others. These are also good cards for property, home-related activity, investments, and things like that. You could be renovating, maybe you find the right place and things like that. They're not really moving cards, but they're great for happiness in a certain space and environment. So a very happy month here. The tree, fish, and heart in May. These are lovely cards for money and prosperity. The fish is the card of money. And with the tree, it's about growth and abundance, and the heart definitely makes you happy. So these are great cards for prosperity, for work, money, business, and for a sense of security as well. Now, the fish is mainly about money, but it doesn't have to be. If it is about relationships, for example, because of the heart, because the heart is emotional. If it is about relationships, these are nice cards for physical attraction and a healthy physical life. And I think here you are also developing that attraction with the help of the tree. But more generally, the fish is about money, work, and business. And it sounds like you are on the right track. The tree definitely invites you to be steady and to pursue the current path. The house is also such a card. The house is also a card of sticking with what you're doing. It tends to be a bit more conservative. And we see this here as well. So we have the ship, which is, traveling down that path. The rider is also such a card, and the bear is very much about growth and maturity. And the bear is also a card of managers and bosses and influential and powerful people. So you could be growing in this sense, and I think it works really well with the months around it, and actually into July as well. Now, the rider and ship can also suggest travel, and the mountain can be about travel as well. So like I was saying at the outset, there are some big steps and changes in this quarter here. So you could be traveling somewhere, and the bear can be quite significant. So this can be a big step forward, and I think June is going to be quite exciting for you. In fact, April, May, June, July, there's lots of positive cards here. In fact, they're all positive or neutral. Now in July, we have the Key, Tower, and Mountain, and this can take on a few different suggestions. The Tower is sometimes the card of the past, and with the Mountain, it can suggest the deep past. So going back to far back somewhere. And the Key suggests that there are answers. So if you were stuck with something or something was ongoing for a long time, the Key brings you answers. In another sense, the Tower is another card of seniority, growth, promotion, experts, managers, people at the top sort of thing, just like we saw with the bear. And with the Key here, you could be climbing up that mountain. You could be growing. You could be pursuing that empowerment, that growth, that promotion. So really nice cards in this sense. Now, I do feel also, because the Key and Tower have a spiritual aspect, and actually the Cross and Moon also, so there's like an energy influencing here. And the Mountain is sometimes a card of blockages. And so I feel that here you are going deeper. You could be going deeper within yourself and understanding anything that could be an obstacle to you inside or outside. But I think this can be a month for insight and depth and a sense of growth and maturity, along with the previous cards. So nice cards for growth and promotion and a sense of improvement and elevation. One more thing with the July cards is that you could be exploring life elsewhere. So we have the travel cards here. We have the Tree, which is also a card of life. And with the Mountain, maybe, and the Tower, you could be thinking of creating a life in a different location or spending more time over there. So the long-term view comes into focus in July, and I think you will find the answers that you need. Now, August is interesting. We have the Cross with the Moon and Coffin. Aries, this is an ending, okay? Yes, there's a Coffin, and the Coffin is an ending, but sometimes it's a card of patience. But with the Moon, with the phases of the Moon, there's like a closure here. And on top of this, we have the Cross, which is an element also of spirituality. But it is a card of things that are meant to be and things that have to happen. So it has a burden aspect in this sense where you have to accept an ending. So this is the right time to close something off. And I think it could come, it comes logically after these cards here where you're exploring new avenues or a different avenue. And so where you are right now or the current phase has to close. I think these cards have depth as well. And I think they affect your life in a more holistic way as opposed to happening specifically in a certain area. It depends, of course, on your specific situation. And when we get to the months, of course, we'll read into these as well. So here we see a D mark for a closure and an ending. Now moving on to September. September tends to be a power month. It is numerologically. There's like a triple numerology power here. I know it's not a numerology thing, but I tend to see September as a power month because of that. The Scythe with the Book and Anchor can mean a revelation. The Scythe with the book, it can open the book, and with the anchor, it is an element of certainty and knowledge. So this is a conclusion. This is a sense of awareness and a sense of confidence in your knowledge. In another sense, Aries, you might need to open up about something, And with the anchor, it might be either an encouragement or a sense of, again, confidence and security. But also what I'm thinking is a boundary of sorts. So it's like you have to draw a line. And the scythe is about drawing a line because it is a sharp demarc card. So the thing about the book in here is that you announce that, and you could be leaving or making changes. And here we see the decision that was happening with the cross. Here it sounds like you take the action. So you could be thinking and taking your time with this here in August, and then in September there is like a sharp demarc where you make a decision, and I think it's pretty final. And this can apply in different contexts as well, or maybe in your life in a global way. Now moving on to October, we have the beautiful star with the lily and dog. So these can also suggest a few different things. The lily is a card of life and life path. It's also great for health and career and direction. And the dog is a card of friends, colleagues, siblings, anyone in your peer group. And the star is an all-around wish fulfillment card. So these are great for getting a job, getting a customer, or connecting with someone, making a good friend, or connecting with a close friend, probably someone you'd have known for a long time. In terms of family, you could be seeing maybe your grown kids succeed, or other members of your family or younger people in your life succeed. Maybe you offer them support through the wisdom of the lily. These are also great cards for health, where you probably find a health buddy or someone supportive, whether it's a practitioner or someone else. So these are great cards for success and healing and overall well-being that affects your life and some relationships. There is also an element of freedom after the changes, where there's like a relief. And you know, the star has that really beautiful, cooling, healing effect. So it's like there's some tension here. There's some tension building up between August and September with the sharp changes, and then it's like there's a relief. Now we see the whip, and we see some challenges here. We wrap up the year with a couple of challenges, but it's really nice to see the sun. The sun is a bit like the star. It's very powerfully positive. Now the whip and stork is very much about change. And because the sun is so positive, I really think, Aries, that the whip here could be encouraging you to make a change. So the whip is not necessarily so aggressive, especially with the sun, but with the stork, it certainly encourages you to be active and to make a change and to not wobble and to just move forward with energy. So definitely changes here, and it's like you're going to be shaken out of things as well. So a bit like building up on here and the relief and the freedom. So we do see like a theme building up on this side where the ending, the release, and shaking things out, you know, are coming through here. And that is between August, September, October to November. And here is December, and I have to say, Aries, that December is a bit tricky. It's not very dramatic, but it sounds a bit annoying. We have the fox with the clouds and bird, and I think here we're looking at tensions. The fox is also a deceptive card. It's not as toxic as the snake, but it is a bit difficult because it tends to be someone who is clever and somewhat selfish. And with the clouds and bird, it really supports this. The clouds is a card of confusion, and the bird is a card of communication, but also anxiety and nervousness. And so with the clouds and fox, I'm pretty sure that this is the aspect of the bird that comes through. And the bird is also a card of communication. So you might need to have a conversation with this person. I'm not so sure how well it goes, Aries, but I think it could be a good idea to think about this and to have a thought about what you're going to say before you say it. I think because the bird is at the end of the line, maybe at least beginning to vocalize the issue is a good idea. Because as it stands, it sounds like the tension is sort of bubbling up and it's not really clear. It needs to be clarified. So perhaps some initial conversations will help. The fox is also a card of jobs. So it can mean that there are some problems on the job or with a project or with something that you're working on. So I think the clouds and bird can mean miscommunication, and I think the fox can be someone a bit difficult. So we don't see the resolution of this within these cards. Of course, we're going to do your I think it's going to be a portrait for the monthly reading, and we'll see what we get about these cards. So stay tuned for December. We're a little bit off, but you know, the year tends to unfold pretty quickly. It's my feeling every time I do these forecasts. So let's recap a little bit your Astroclock Aries. We saw relationships focused in the beginning of the year. We have an interesting month here, March, which is an opportunity to overcome something challenging, but we don't really see what the challenge is about. We'll see when we get to the month. These are lovely months here. Between April and July, there is a lot of positive cards and positive energy and growth and success and well-being, and also as a promotion, possibly travel and adventures here. So really nice energies between April and July. August, September are quite interesting. There's an ending and a change. And then in October and November, I think the change continues, like you're still peeling off the layers, and it starts to feel good, and it starts to feel really relieving. And then December is sort of on its own, points to an issue either with someone or a job or a situation in general. So I have to say, Aries, that the balance of your Astroclock is really positive. There seems to be just a few challenges in the year. The challenging cards are paired with very positive cards, and so these positive cards help overcome and mute down the challenges. Whereas in a lot of Astroclocks, you'll see, for example, you know, a bit like this, where you have a whip, scythe, and you know, a snake or something. So it dramatizes a little bit the challenging cards. For your part, it's really just December, where we have 3 cards that don't have a positive side on their own. And so this could be a bit tricky, but again, the cards are not dramatic like the whip and the snake. So the more challenging cards are actually taken up with other bright cards that help mute them down. So it's really just December that's a bit challenging, and March and November, but these 2 months are overcome. So very beautiful cards with exciting stuff going on here, interesting stuff going on here, and then relationships at the top. So let me know how you like this Astroclock, Aries. Let me know what you make of it. Are you envisioning a little bit 2025? What are you seeing for the year ahead? Take this Astroclock away and see what you make of it. Maybe write down some notes and start setting your intention. It's always exciting to do this. Thank you again for tuning in, Aries. Very best of luck with 2025. I hope you'll stick with me throughout the year for our monthly and weekly readings and other readings as well. I look forward to your thoughts and comments as always. And until our next reading, thanks again for tuning in, and take very good care of yourself.